Day at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Third round from TPC Scottsdale. 8 of the top 20 in the world within 7 strokes of the lead. Those are the fans racing to get to the loudest hole in golf. That's where we start. Brandon Wu with a beautiful tee shot. Oh, a couple feet. Tap that in for birdie. A great start for the crowd. Wu tied for 57th at 1 over. Searching for a win in the desert, this man, Rickie Fowler. His last win on the PGA Tour came at the Phoenix Open in 2019. That's how you get up and down, kids. Out of the greenside bunker, in for birdie. 4 under 67 in round 3. He's tied for 6th at 9 under. 6th in the world, Xander Schauffele. Rising, moving. Here on 11 for birdie. Putting with precision. Buries it from 25 feet away. 1 under 70 in round 3. He's tied for 6th at 9 under as well. Number 2 in the world, Scottie Scheffler, looking to win this event in back-to-back seasons. Here on 13, teeing off on the par 5. Into the native area. Out of bounds. Forced to take a penalty. He bogeys the hole. Now in a tie for the lead at 11 under. But he bounces back in a big way on 14. Second shot on the par 4 from 211 yards out. In the rough, but man, this is smooth. 4 feet from the hole, snuggles it up nice and close, put a snuggie on it. He'd sink that for birdie. Gets to 12 under, back as the solo leader. And we go back to 16. Final group to play on 16 for the day. Adam Hadwin in the mix. He backed off his tee shot, and he got booed. Fans didn't like that. Well, guess what he does? He puts it within 1 foot of the hole. Adam Hadwin. Nice bounce and a fortuitous roll. That close from a hole-in-one. He's like, man, I wanted that. Closest to the shot of the day. And then let's start throwing stuff. Going wild. Hadwin tied for 4th at 10 under. Here comes number 3 in the world, Jon Rahm. And he's going to give the fans something to cheer about. 41 feet away for birdie on 16. Got it! Move to 11 under. Give me a fist pump. Have yourself a beverage. Former Arizona State Sun Devil, making the fans happy. 368 in round 3. He's tied for 2nd at 11 under. Back to Scheffler, puts a bow on his day. Birdie on 17, moves to 13 under, atop the leaderboard at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Looking for back-to-back wins in the desert. Site of his first PGA Tour victory, won in a playoff last season. He's got a 2-shot lead on Jon Rahm and Nick Taylor going to the final round. Final round coverage on Sunday, beginning 3 Eastern on CBS and streaming live on Paramount+. For more from Scottsdale, Joe Musso anchors our coverage.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. A full desk today. Kyle Porter, Rick Gehman, Danny Kanell. After a fun day out here in Phoenix, and I don't think that even begins to start telling the story, but let's start sort of where it ended. 16, final shot of the day. Adam Hadwin steps to his ball, steps off his ball, gets booed, and then hits one to about a foot. Rick Gehman, I mean, the scenes that unfolded there, take me through your point of view.
Yeah, so we kind of did the smart thing and we started getting over there for the last final groups to come through. And, you know, when you're in a group as Adam Hadwin with Jon Rahm, with Scottie Scheffler, right? That was, and it's just like, there's so much that those guys just bring out of the crowd. So when you get up there and you step off, you back off your ball, the boos are raining down. Then he hits this shot in there with so much side sauce on it that we were ready to go. And
everybody was a full lean into the left.
They were going to throw those bottles and cups no matter what happened, and that was good enough to get it done. The closest shot of the day, the final shot of the day.
Yeah, a roll of toilet paper ended up on the 16th green. Thought it was an Auburn we were in Auburn.
Tumors. We were at Tumors.
Yeah.
Normal stuff.
It was, very, very normal for a sporting event. 16 was, we were actually talking about it right before that group got there. It wasn't as exciting as last year. Obviously, Sam Ryder makes the 1. We get another one from Carlos Ortiz on Sunday. But the way it ended with not only Adam Hadwin's shot, but also Jon Rahm making the putt from 35 feet, just dripping it in. It was a pretty awesome ending.
DK, you were full stage mom. I just got to put it out there, like hands under the chin, stayed taking the shots in.
I don't know if I was happier there or right now getting to crash the first cut pot.
There you
man.
go.
Thanks for letting me do this. It was insane. So, as a football player, you're used to getting booed. These guys are not used to getting booed.
Yeah.
But there is always something that you do when you play on the road. The best way to silence the crowd is to do something like that, and then but that's the advantage. Like, there is no away crowd, so you can win them over. And all of a sudden, you see the beer, the cans, everything on the green, and they clear it all out. And then, as you mentioned, Rahm gets up there and drops a bomb, and they rain it down again. It was incredible. What a great way to finish it out.
It was an amazing scene, and really the only way to start the pod here, boys. But let's do what you do, and let's go leaderboard at the top of it. Still Scottie Scheffler. KP, how do you characterize that round today?
Well, it was interesting. I followed him most of the back nine, and he was kind of all over the place off the tee. Took an unplayable on 13, made a 6 there, I believe, but he kept it together. And the thing that I think Rick and I were just talking about this before we came on air. The thing about him that he's doing so well this week is his approach shots. And we saw this on 18. We were just watching it. He hits it pin high, pin high, pin high, pin high. And if you keep doing that, there's just not a lot of room to move backwards. So unless somebody goes out and shoots a 66, shoots a 65 from a little bit deeper back, as long as you take care of the par fives and you continue to hit shots pin high like he was doing, I mean, it seems like Scottie Scheffler's going to win right now.
Feels a little bit like TPC Scottie Dale. Have we used that one?
Oh, there you go. Now we're cooking.
Good.
That's creative.
Okay.
Let me cook.
Thank you very much. It only took me 4 days of being here to come up with that one, our defending champion. Yeah, so I believe we've got, 5 or 6 other instances of somebody going back-to-back at Waste Management. Scottie Scheffler, 18 holes away from doing just that. It does feel, listen, I know week in and week out, these leads disintegrate. It's a 2-shot lead right now. That might be gone on the second tee box on Sunday afternoon, but it does feel a bit like he's got a stranglehold on it because he is so awesome from tee to green. He never makes a ton of big mistakes, and that alone puts so much pressure on the rest of the field to run up and grab him.
On 17, the tee shot, right? So they're all going for it. Hadwin and Rahm both leave it right in the bailout spot where you're supposed to be. Scottie did not like his drive. He was sweating it out because the water's over there. It was starting to get over there, and he's the guy that gets up and down for birdie.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just been that kind of day for him all day. But I thought it was interesting too because I thought he was spraying a little bit too, and yet he scrambles just as good as anybody as well.
Kyle, you just said something for the first time in a long time. For the last few days, it's been there's no way Rahm doesn't win this thing. You just gave me a little Scottie Scheffler right there. I don't want to hold you to that being your pick. We'll get to the picks down the way here on the podcast, but relative to one another, has that opinion changed over these last 18 holes?
I think so. I mean, Scottie's now. We haven't looked at the odds yet. I would assume Scottie's the favorite now when it's been Rahm for most of the week. And the thing, with Scottie, I mean, here's the thing. Like, we're going to get some point on Sunday. We saw this at the Masters where it looks like either he's going to fall apart or somebody's charging, but he's got a 2-shot lead built in. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't seem like a ton because we see guys make up 4 strokes. I mean, Scottie Scheffler at the Tour Championship last year, he's leading by 6. All of a sudden, they're tied. So anything can happen. But when you have a 2-shot lead built in and you're hitting everything pin high, I mean, unless somebody goes out and shoots, and this could happen, somebody could shoot 64, 65, it does seem like Scottie Scheffler is going to cruise to a victory.
There are 10 within 4, 15 within 5. Mm-hmm. And the course, we heard Jordan Spieth say after his round, it's getting more firm, it's getting faster. There might be an opportunity to go out there and shoot something low, but I tend to agree. Without a couple of squares on the card, Scottie feels like he's in control.
But this is what provides the tension of we see this so often. It's like, okay, I think this guy is going. We saw this with Morikawa at Kapalua.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, I'm pretty sure Morikawa, and he had a much bigger lead. I'm pretty sure Morikawa is going to cruise to victory. All of a sudden, he's hitting chips like me and Rick, and not like Danny, but like me and Rick. And John Rahm is leapfrogging him. So I think the tension, like the stage has been set, and the tension is, can Scottie cruise to go back to back, or is Rahm, Spieth, Xander, Ricky Fowler going to come from behind to catch him?
Danny, we've been sitting here all week talking about the floor of John Rahm. Like, it doesn't feel like he has his A stuff this week, and there he is at the top of the leaderboard. How impressed you just by how consistent he is when maybe it's not all there at once.
So I'm incredibly stubborn, and I picked him to win before the day started. I'm going to stick with him. You talk about the ability to scramble, get up and down, but you talk about somebody who's comfortable in this environment. He is bantering with the crowd. He's going back. So every time I'm like a nerdy golf fan. I just want to see what these guys are about. I'm watching their mannerisms, and Jordan Spieth or Scottie Scheffler or some of these guys are walking by like, nice putt. They don't respond. They don't say anything. They're just laser focused on the next one. Rahm's like, hey man, what's up? He didn't he's there on the 18th tee. He tees off, or no, he doesn't tee off. Scheffler teed off first, and then there's a couple hecklers, right? That they're all over the place around here, and the guy is wearing out Scottie like, hey, you're not going to be one for long. You'll just get big Rombo's coming for you. And Rahm turned around and gave him the stare down, and he can kind of control this crowd.
Yeah.
Another one, he comes up, didn't hit a great chip, got there heckling him, having fun with him, and he goes over and goes, yeah, come on, why don't you try it? You do better. He thrives in this atmosphere.
He even wanted a little bit more after the made putt on 16.
He gave him the Rory.
He did.
I can't hear you.
He gave. There's a little. Come on. maybe an early message there from Rombo. The interesting thing and the perspective that you've offered here is only one that you get when you are walking with these groups. Some things that you can only see when you are here, and we saw something that you could really only see when you're here. Rick, I want you to take me through what we saw on 13. Xander Schauffele sitting 4 back right now. By no means out of this, but it got a little shaky. Got the speed wobbles there at 13, and an interesting ruling that we sort of took in firsthand.
Yeah, so set the scene here. Obviously, Xander Schauffele is in the mix. I think he was potentially 1 back at the time when he got to 13. His drive is basically at the base of a tree, and from what we were gathering, we were probably only 20 yards away from it, that he was trying to get relief from a burrowing animal. Now, that alone is normal sport.
Thank you.
We've seen Bryson try to get relief from fire. What designates a burrowing animal? And the thing that
Hold on.
It's true. This is what we got to talk about.
The reality that we have to ask legitimately ask the question, what designates a burrowing animal?
That's why we're here.
Can you imagine covering a Lakers Suns game? What designates a burrowing animal? That'd be absurd.
Well, whatever ruling he got initially from the first rules official on the scene, Xander did not get his relief. The second opinion that he got seemed to provide him that relief. Joe, in the moment, you and I thought he was taking an unplayable.
I, two of the marshals that were, everybody thought that he was taking an unplayable.
I was saying, if I would have known this was going to be a bigger thing, and I would have gone up there and taken a
boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. But I was under the impression he was taking his unplayable. Now, he would go on to make a couple more bogeys coming in.
That's one of your boys.
That's one of my guys. There's a lot of us. It's a pro Eagles crowd here. Makes a couple bogeys coming in, Kyle, and I think that potentially could be another example of ball don't lie.
Now, we saw, it could be ball don't lie, or it could be a guy who knows that he might have been operating in the gray area, KP. Would you go that far?
Run the Rashid gif.
Ball don't lie.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I didn't see it like you guys did.
And we weren't close. I mean, listen. The official.
We didn't get a look at the live.
The official gave him relief.
Yes.
So he did everything by the books.
What I will say is this is going to be a story going into Sunday. So either it needs to be. I was looking through. I don't know if Xander didn't talk. The transcript hasn't come out yet, but it needs to be addressed by somebody, whether it's Xander or show the conversation that was had between an official and Xander,
which we've seen before.
Yeah, this happens all the time, and I guarantee you, if it was who doesn't play on this tour anymore, there would be tape out there. So
raise your hand if you're blocked. Can I get a check?
Oh,
okay. So just
I'm right there. Yeah.
We got three or four. I guess
it's more like raise your hand if you're not sued. Is the real question. So I don't know. I don't think anybody's accusing Xander of anything. Yeah. It just is something that needs to be addressed going into the final round.
Maybe a little bit more amplified if we are talking about him in the final group.
Right. 4 back
on Sunday. Yeah. He is sitting 4 back. It was perhaps a 2-shot swing in that moment, but he does have work to do and plenty out in front of him. We'll have plenty more out in front of us here on the First Cut Podcast, live from the WM, after we take a quick break. Welcome back to the First Cut Podcast, live from the WM Phoenix Open. Danny Kanell, Rick Gehman, Kyle Porter, Joe Musso, fellas. I said it once, I'll say it again. What a day! Let's just begin right there. And there's so much happening on this golf course, and I think that is a direct result of the field that we've had and the leaderboard that's come together. Let's not forget Jordan Spieth hanging around.
Who
Kyle
could forget?
Porter.
Who's forgetting?
Well, it was an interesting day. It was an interesting day for both Spieth and Rahm, where we followed them for a bit.
Yeah.
They weren't making moves, even par, more pars than we expect out of Spieth usually, and then they throw a few at it coming home to really get right around the lead. I believe 3 back at 10 under.
Yeah, that was the story for Spieth. Rick and I picked him up on the 8th hole. Didn't really do anything. We actually saw him over here. He hit a fan on his tee shot on 11, and I went up and asked the fan, where did he hit you? And he said, you don't want to know. which
sparked Jordan's round.
Actually, I do want to know. I gave him an autograph ball and then made, 3 birdies coming home, 2 birdies coming home. The thing about Spieth, and I don't know if this is good or bad, Rick, but he's hitting the. If you look at iron play, if you look at kind of guys, we talked about Scottie hitting it hole high on every hole. Right. Not literally, but it seemed like it. Spieth's kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
He's just putting a little bit worse. And Spieth. Like, when he gets hot with the putter, obviously well documented what he does. The problem is he just can't seem to get hot with the putter. So is that something that could happen on Sunday?
It was almost the opposite of him getting hot. I mean, nearly every putt we saw him hit, he was up and out of it, walking after it almost immediately. He hated it off the club face.
It's the opposite of the Kevin Na where he walks it in.
Right.
Spieth walks and you know it's not
right.
It's like
it's
definitely
no
not
chance.
going in.
The reverse Na.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it was obviously a lot of putting frustrations. He actually mentioned that to Mark Immelman in his post-round interview. He just said he could not match line and pace on Saturday, and that's going to be troublesome as you're trying to track down some of the best players in the world.
Yeah, we saw on 12, he had a 3-putt on 12 after getting in trouble in the fairway, hit it on. You said, oh, he's going to escape with a par. He 3-putts. But you never know. He maybe catches a little something, finds something to hang on to bring in some positivity tomorrow.
Danny, you have made points here on mannerism, what you're taking in. How about the mannerisms of Jordan Spieth?
I mean,
Do you like that? You like the swing routine?
I mean,
there's a forward press,
whatever
there's a foot.
sport I've ever played, it's like you want to get it and go.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, maybe there's a trigger or something that you use.
Oh, there's a lot of triggers.
But there are like 18 of them, and it's
There's a Rube
to me, it's
Goldberg
painful.
device.
To me, it's almost painful to watch. I'm like, God, just go, 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 and he doesn't. But hey, he's still trying to figure it out.
The list of his triggers is like somebody unfurling a scroll, and you're like, okay, I've done these 27 things. Now I can.
A pilot readying for launch. Checking all the gauges.
He's 3 shots back.
3
shots
shots
the
back.
best field of the year.
Yeah, and we talked about it on last night's pod. If it was a buy now price at 28-1, he made.
And I said,
4
hell
shots.
yes.
Absolutely, it was because in 4 shots that changed to it was a 12-1.
Yeah,
number.
his morning got off to a really hot start. Remember, he was trying to complete his second round.
Yeah.
He made that 5-footer that we referenced last night on 13.
Yep.
Immediately birdies 14. So those are the 4 strokes that took him from 28 to 12-1 in 6 minutes.
Yeah, star power, no shortage here at the WM, but there's also some names lingering that could cash big checks and really change lives in these upcoming moments on Sunday. Adam Hadwin still hanging around after sharing that first round lead, with Nick Taylor. Taylor sitting right there, Rick Gehman. What would this mean for him at this juncture of his career?
We can't shake these Canadians
That's
right
it.
now. You know, they're
Like
still.
a bad
Are we
cold.
trying to?
No, I mean, I think it's fine, but they're hanging tough. It's impressive, right? And we were kind of looking over this leaderboard, and we were pointing out all the best names. And right, we were kind of glossing over the Nick Taylors of the world and the Adam Hadwins of the world. But you have to remember that the new normal now on tour is this $20 million payday. So first place, 3.6. Second, by yourself, 2.1. Third, 1.3. How about this, Danny? A cool almost million, 980,000 for fourth. So Nick Taylor, Adam Hadwin, of course they're still in it. Taylor's 16-1 to win. Odds makers don't love it, but a ton to play for.
And you got to wonder if those numbers, guys, I mean, I know you're human. When I was about to get drafted, I unfortunately fell in the draft, so I kept just watching the dollar signs go away. You wonder at what point does a guy like Nick Taylor start checking some of that? I mean, I guarantee you he doesn't want to, but it's human nature to not know exactly what's at stake.
Well, I was going to ask you, did you ever have anything like an incentive in your contract where it's like, okay, I know the last game, if I go out and do X.
If I beat Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, because that's essentially what's happening.
Right.
It's like,
So I played arena football, and you got $1,000 for every touchdown you threw. Extra, and I was paid a salary, it's like $70,000 a year. But then you could throw
let that thing
10
rip.
touchdowns.
Arena football is
you
like
could throw
a big
10 touchdowns in a game. So I was out there asking the coach, "Hey, let's keep chucking it. We're up like 54 to 7." I'm like, "No, let's keep throwing it." Yeah.
Couple Mahomes shovel passes goes into the books as a.
But I love the incentive. Some guys thrive in that. Some guys will, you can think about it, and that incentive is something that actually gets them dialed in, and it makes them play even better. While some guys might think about it overwhelms them, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe I'm losing this much money."
Kyle, our first designated event of the season. Can you envision a world where it is a Nick Taylor or an Adam Hadwin and not one of these other big boppers?
First full field designated. We had
thank you. Yes,
Kapalua, which was small field.
Yeah, we're getting all these qualifiers.
There's some qualifiers. We're working on it.
Yeah.
I came into the week not even knowing if it was designated or elevated or whatever, but
bars.
I don't. No, I can't. I mean, it's a little bit. And being out here, it's interesting because it feels. We were talking about this as we were walking around. It's not a major. Like in your head, this is not a major. It's not a major. It feels big time out. Mm-hmm. And it's a party, and the golf we were talking about. It seems a little incidental sometimes, but if you're inside the ropes, if you're on 16, if you're on 17, it's like this feels like a big deal. It's different than a Byron Nelson. It's different than a Colonial, which I've been inside the ropes at both of those. This just and some of it is you've got a lot going on. You've got helicopters and airplanes and fans everywhere and people drinking, but it is a big deal. And so I think in the same way where you wouldn't go into the final round of a major thinking Nick Taylor, Adam Hadwin, they're getting it done. And I kind of feel the same way here.
Well, let's talk numbers here, guys, and see where you do stand heading into this final round. Starting off with maybe someone a little bit further down the board. Rick, if we're looking for a value proposition, something with a little longer number, where are you going to take us?
Admittedly, I don't love anything too far down the board. If somebody not named Scottie Scheffler wins this golf tournament, he's probably going to come back to the field at least a little bit, give us a little bit of help. John Rahm, obviously, close enough to chase everybody down. But Sung Jae's still interesting, right? Like, we have not gotten the real low Sung Jae Im round yet, right? And he's lurking there. I think he's, 25-1. He's 9 under, so he's 4 shots back. We haven't seen the low one from him, right? We got the low one from Scottie. We got the low one from Sam Burns. We got the low one from Jordan Spieth. Let's get a low one from Sung Jae.
That's the middle spot on the Rick Gehman bingo card. We had to stamp Sung Jae, so we got the pick in. Yeah. Kyle Porter, a little longer shot. What do you like?
Well, Rick mentioned who I like, which is Sam Burns. Okay. He's 5 back, so he's 8 under. I think he shot the round of the day today.
Round of the day by 264.
Bogey free. He hasn't putted at all this week, and he's somebody that. So I think 16 under wins it.
Okay.
I think if Scottie gets to 16, we go Vince Carter.
.gif.
So I think Burns would have to shoot, what is that, 63 to win it, or get into a playoff, something like that. I think Burns on a heater is like it's a lightning. I mean, it's crazy. Like he can get super hot. He hasn't putted that well yet. Burns at 65-1, I think is very interesting.
Danny, a sprinkle.
The leaderboard here is phenomenal. I'm just looking down the list. I'm like, you could make a case. Ricky Fowler, Jason Day, they're only 4 shots back. Tony Finau is 5 shots. Like, there's so many guys that you feel like could make a run. Those are some fan favorites. But I'm kind of with you guys. I don't know if I'd play anything outside the top 3.
So you mentioned it, Scottie Scheffler, even money. So would you take Scottie or the field?
Oh, I'm always a field guy.
Oh.
Yeah, I would take the field in a heartbeat.
Take the field?
Field, yeah.
The week started as Rory and Rahm or the field, and here we are, Scottie or the field. So things have definitely transpired over these last 3 days, and they will continue to. We remember how it all went down on Sunday. Spieth catching the bounce, and then Scottie, our ultimate winner. A lot can happen over these next 18 holes, but we got to put it in stone here. I'm staying with my pick from a night ago. Let's ride the roller coaster again. Jordan Spieth, Kyle Porter, who takes it home?
Did you enjoy the roller coaster today?
It wasn't a roller. It was literally, it was as flat as the terrain out here, and then we hit the mountains. Then we hit the mountains in the background. We had a little fun on the way home, but I'm going to stick with my pick.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to stick with my pick as well, John Rahm.
Okay.
So I said the tension has kind of been laid of Scottie either goes out and cruises or he kind of kicks it away a little bit. There was almost a 3-shot swing on was it 13 when Scottie took the unplayable. Rahm had a 10-foot eagle putt, and you're like, that's a 3-shot swing in like 10 minutes.
Yep.
So we see that a lot out here. Rahm drives it beautifully. I know Scottie's hitting it well too, but I think Rahm gets it done.
We're sticking Scottie Scheffler. I just think, and we were looking at his stat profile before we went hot here, and it's the same thing. I cannot stress that enough. The same tee to green and putting stat profile that we have seen from Scottie Scheffler for a year is the same stat profile that we have gotten for the first 3 rounds of the WM Phoenix Open. I don't have any reason to think that that is going to change unless somebody goes out.
It doesn't change. I would love to see you do some sort of like who has the least amount of change round to round in each statistical category.
He's sending you home from Phoenix with homework.
A little bit of homework.
Because I bet Scottie's up there.
I bet he is too.
Danny, what do you like?
I'm sticking with Rahm too. We were watching 18. What was that, about 4-foot putt to stay in the final group? And I was saying, man, like you do not want to miss this putt and have to sleep on this all night. Gets it right in the left side to drop. I'm going to say that was kind of a momentum builder for him going into tomorrow.
What a Saturday it was here at the WM. More fun coming on Sunday. It worked a night ago, so Rick Gehman, wrap us up.
Yeah, we'll be back to do it all again after the final rounds here at the WM Phoenix Open. For Danny Kanell, for Joe Musso, for Kyle Porter, I'm Rick Gehman. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.